How's it going, YouTube? It's Dead Guy Cardboard. I finally decided to upload a video of my T206 backs. Just to give a little background of the T206 backs. The American Tobacco Company in the early 20th century, they had about 15 tobacco brands, and within those tobacco brands, they would put little cards that acted as essentially stiffeners that would protect the cigarettes from bouncing around too much in the cigarette packs. And these cards are also used as a promotional item because in the beginning of the 20th century, baseball was just booming big time. And so these little baseball players that were on the front of these cards were also a big promotion, and it got adults as well as kids to buy these cigarettes. And so 15 different brands had the T206 cards in them, and they were distributed from 1909 to 1911. I'll just go through the most common was the Piedmont, which is like the Marlboro of today, and then I want to go from common to least common. Then we have Sweet Caporal is next, a little rare. Sovereign, Polar Bear. This is the only tobacco brand that came in a tobacco pouch, like a loose tobacco pouch. And then we have Old Mill. And then now we're getting to the tougher backs. These are sort of hard to find. Cycle, and then American Beauty, and then El Príncipe de Galles, Tolstoy. Now we're getting to the really tough backs. Hindu. And then these guys are these are reprints, but these are the really tough backs. The Carolina Brights, Broadleaf, Lennox, Ooze It, and the rarest tobacco brand of them all, if you don't count the Thai Cobb back, is the Drum brand of cigarettes. And so each one of these cigarette brands had different variations, or some of them did. And so whenever you see the 150 subjects printed on the back of these backs, that means that they were printed earlier on in the print run, so around 1909 and maybe the early part of 1910. And then when you see some of these backs that have 350 or 460 subjects printed on the backs of them, that means they were printed later in the run, so around later to mid 1910 to 1911. And generally speaking, the 460 subjects are tough because not a lot were printed towards the end of the printing run. But just to kind of go into these different brands, Piedmont had 4 different variety of Piedmont backs. I only have 2 of them right here. But there's a 350 subjects, which is the most common. 150 is a little tougher. Then there's a 350 460 series, and also a 350 460 series with a factory 42 back, which is a really tough back. I don't have that. And then Sweet Caporal has the most variety of, or most variations of this back. There's 9 of them. I think I'm missing a couple of them. But most common is the Sweet Caporal 350 subjects. That is factory 30. Then the other more rare, the 350 subjects, is the factory 25, which I don't think my camera can pick up. Then you get into tougher and tougher, which is the 150 back, and it's the factory 30. I'm missing one here. I think that's like the 350 460 overprint. And then a little tougher of a back is the 150 with the factory, factory 25. I'm missing another one. I think that's a different variation of the 350 460 subjects, which I don't have. And then we have the 150 with the factory overprint. And then here's an example of one of the 350 460 subjects, and this is the factory 42. And there's another one up here that's tougher. I believe that's the factory 25. So there's a lot of Sweet Caporals, 9 total. Then we have the Sovereign. The most common is the Sovereign 354 screen. Then the second rarest is the 150 subjects. And the third rarest is the 350 apple green. So if you see it beside the forest green, the apple green is definitely a lighter color, and it's like an apple green color, and then the forest green is much darker. And then, actually, that was a variation that was discovered recently, like the last 10 years. People didn't really notice the difference between the two, and then slowly figured that there was a different printing variation of the 350 subjects. And then the toughest of the Sovereign is the Sovereign 460. And then Polar Bear only has one variation of that, even though it was printed throughout the entire run of 1909 to 1911. And then Old Mill, and the tougher of the Old Mill series is the Old Mill Southern States, and it only has the Southern players on the front. So those are only distributed in the southern regions. And then we have the Cycle 350, so we're getting again into the tougher backs. There's also a Cycle 460, which I don't have. And then there's the American Beauty. The American Beauty subjects are the only brand in the T206 series that the borders were cut slimmer than other brands. There's really no reason that we know of why this is done. It could be because the packs are slimmer, or because they just decided to, for whatever reason, decided to cut it slimmer than the rest of the other brands. But as you can tell, the borders are slimmer. I mean, that's off center, but the borders are much slimmer. So if you come across a T206 card with a very slim border that's not American Beauty, then most likely it's trimmed. But the most common of these is the American Beauty with the frame. You can see they have very similar frame styles as the Cycle 460. Then later in the printing run, they removed the frame. So this is the 350 subjects, pretty tough back. And then the toughest of the American Beauty variations is the 460 subjects. Then we have El Príncipe de Galles. There's only one variation of this. And the Tolstoy, one variation of the Tolstoy. And the Brown Hindu. There's also a Red Hindu, which is very, very rare. But the Brown Hindu is pretty tough too. And I would love to get my hands on some actual real versions of these, but this is the Carolina Brights. There's only one variation of Carolina Brights. Then the Broadleaf. This is the example of a 350 subject. There's also a 460 subject, which is really the rarest variation of all of the P206 backs. And there's a Lennox. There's also a Brown Lennox, which I think the Brown Lennox is considered a scrap piece that never really was supposed to leave the factory. But this is the black Lennox example. Then we have the Uzit, which is also very, very tough. Second toughest brand of backs. And then the toughest is the Drum 350. There's no Drum 460, but it's definitely the toughest brand. And if you wanted to include the Thai Cobb, here's an example of a Thai Cobb back. The Thai Cobb back, the reason why people don't consider it part of the T206 set is because the front only has a red portrait Thai Cobb, and the front of most of these cards have this sort of glossy finish, so it's not really made of the same kind of cardboard as the rest of these T206 cards. And then a common back that people mistake for T206 is the coupon, which is only produced in New Orleans. But the dead giveaway is there's a blue font on the front, and this actually has a glossy sort of finish to the front too, like the Thai Cobb back would have. And it was produced in 1914, so came out a couple years later. So yeah, this is my collection. I would love to pick up some more, but it's definitely a fun way to collect the T206 cards. And thanks for watching.